Well, black people are Native Americans. We've had a lot of proof that some of us started here in this land. Everybody wasn't brought over from Africa.
What are they doing here? They're Indians.
This is one of my many unsuccessful experiments. You see, with Indians, there's absolutely nothing to be done. There's the same difference between a Negro and an Indian as there is between a dog and a coyote. You can put a dog on a leash, beat him, and he'll always be there to lick your feet. Take away a coyote's liberty, and you've cut off his heir. An Indian will never be a slave. No one has ever been able to make them reproduce in captivity. They do not eat, they do not talk, they do not sleep, they do not make love.
There are several things that are significant about it. Of course, one of them is the way that colonialism tries to develop all kinds of elaborate classification terms for different kinds of people, but that's another subject. The most significant thing here is to reveal the much greater amounts of Native American ancestry that are present within the African American population than most people realize, because they might have been misled by the use of terms like mulatto and also people of color.
After the African, LeVar Burton, had been told that his name was to be Toby, and he refused it, and he was beaten to make him say his name was Toby.
That was the dramatization. How much of that actually was recounted to you? I mean, was there a lot of interweaving?
A lot of it, I thought maybe you were going to ask, and maybe you are in another way, is how much of the book is fact and how much is fiction. Well, a whole lot of it's fiction. Well, a whole lot of it's fiction. Well, a whole lot of it's fiction.
Now, this is just a tiny bit of information now.
But they take it as huge.
Right, because it's cracking open the door.
There's a place in Africa you could say that I'm from. A tribe? I am thrilled. It puts a name, a place, a location, a people.
Hank really is concerned that the science isn't really there yet for you to be giving them the name of a tribe.
I think for most companies, I would be concerned too.
But what about your own company?
We have
he
the largest...
exclude you. He included you.
But we have the largest set of sequences from Africa. And so with that, we're able to provide some level of probability in terms of frequency.
But he would say that even though you have the largest database, it's still small on the scope of things.
As I said, I share those concerns. We don't oversell. I mean, we just say, look, we provide a service. If you're interested in exploring a tiny bit of your DNA and trace its ancestry, we can do that.
When you say it's a tiny little amount,
it's less than 0.1%. Less than 0.1%. Less than 0.1%.
And that's pretty teeny.
Yeah, but for people who know nothing about any of them, I think it's very important.
You do not know a goddamn thing about Africa. I am from Detroit, Motown. So you can Watusi your monkey ass back to Africa if you want to.
Hey y'all, sorry. I was eating some hot Cheetos, which I shouldn't be eating. But I had bought some the other day when I went to the hairdresser because I be liking to snack on stuff. So my bad. How y'all doing? Come on in, get the likes up on the video. Shout out to everybody in the building. Welcome to Educational Friday. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe, okay? Now, we do this every Friday. This segment of the Voodoo Doll TV show is called Educational Friday. Now, here what we do is we go back in history and we look at the things that we were taught, and then we unlearn and relearn, because what we know is, most of the things we were taught in history are lies, all lies with capital L's, you know? And so it's up to us to go back and revisit those lies and go find the truth. And that's what Educational Friday is all about. My whole purpose of this is going back to get the lies so that we can uncover the truth. And this week, we talking about my girl, Ida B. Wells. We got to get her up here. My girl, Ida B. Wells, who was a Pisces. Mind you, ironically, her birthday is March 3rd, 1913. That's 3-3-13. 13. Do you hear me? Her stars was aligned when she got here. And it kind of makes me think about my birthday. Because see, my birthday is 3/13/83. And my stars are aligned as well. So I'm just thinking about it. Like, girl, you was like a Pisces birthday twin. And you really was out here selling us short. Ida B. Wells, the purpose of today's Educational Friday is to give y'all the truth. Ida B. Wells, or your mama 3/13/43. Okay, she aligned too. Boo, what happened to my hair? I don't know. I look a mess. I don't know, girl. I went outside. I don't know. This part, we back inside. It's natural. It probably done nap back up for all I know. Hold on. Let me see. It probably done nap back up, child, for all I know. I don't listen. It is what it is. Anyways, because we had Educational Friday. Look. I saw her birthday. Like I said, Ida B. Wells was 3/3/13, which is March 3rd, 1913. And I thought that was very, very ironic, if it makes sense. So anyway, what I found when I did my Ida B. Wells lookup is, first of all, you got to look at what Google's going to say. Google's going to tell us, oh, she was such a great person. She helped women, black women do this and black women do that and black. Cap. Ida B. Wells was a plant and an agent. As a matter of fact, Ida B. Wells, did you guys know, helped found the NAACP. Not only did Ida B. Wells help to find the NAACP, she was also a Divine Nine member. She was definitely a ski-wee. Yes. Ida B. Wells was an honorary member because she was born prior to them creating this crap. But she became an honorary member therefore after that, right? So we got Ida B. Wells, the honorary the honorary Divine Nine member, but NAACP founder. And we already know if she's attached to the NAACP, it's some crap. Okay? Now, Ida B. Wells, like the rest of these black people put in our history, we're taught was on our side. And whenever you go look up any Ida B. Wells information, it's going to tell you how she helped to stop the anti-lynching thing, or stop the anti-lynching. That's an oxymoron. She helped the anti-lynching laws by basically writing in her writing journals and her paper, whatever she had. She was spilling all the tea about that. She did do that. Those things she did do. But that's not why she's famous. She's famous because she single-handedly was able to take black women's suffrage and turn it into voting rights for white women in the South. And that's what we're going to talk about. Now, I did see somebody on TikTok say that Nolan Wells is a descendant of Ida B. Wells. I don't believe that. Because Nolan Wells' mammy, it ain't even black American. So I don't know. But I get it. The internet see one thing and they just go with the move. I'm here for it. But I don't believe that Nolan Wells is a descendant of Ida B. Wells. I would have to see the genealogy on that, okay? But anyways, what happened was Ida B. Wells was created, well, technically, yeah. But Ida B. Wells came in. She was born somewhere up north, if I'm not mistaken. We'll get into it here in a second. But either way, somehow she found herself in the NAACP in the South where black women were suffering bad. And she came in as a hero for black women. Oh, yeah, we're going to make sure black women get this. We're going to march with the black women. We're going to do all of this. Whole time she was there to hijack the black women's pain to help white women fuel their voting rights. Mind you also, this is all encompassing of the civil rights movement that we're dealing with. Remember, all of this leads up to Mike in the 60s. Remember, the 60s is the finale. For y'all who don't know how this thing worked as far as us being able to be screwed the way that we're screwed. The final boss, the finale came in the 60s. The civil rights movement was the cap, right? The civil rights movement was the cap to take the very last of what we had. Everything else leading up to it was to help take everything away from us. And Ida B. Wells definitely did that. And we're going to get into it today. Now, before we do that, like I said, if y'all new to the channel, welcome. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Whoop. Okay. Let me see. Do I have any super chats? I got some jewels. Shout out to everybody sending jewels. Thank you, Gary Jennings, for the jewels. Thank you, Janine Unfiltered, for the jewels. And also New Orleans Girl, thank you so much for the super chat. Says 6 months into genealogy deep dive, my family owned whole tobacco and Oweed Farms. pre it being illegal. Oh, do yours. You never know what you'll find, loves. There you go. New Orleans girl, that's what I'm talking about. New Orleans girl did her genealogy and found her family owned whole tobacco farms. Listen, Black America, this what I be talking about when I say do your genealogy so we can go back and get the reparations. Because I'm pretty positive, New Orleans girl, they took your people for tobacco farm illegally. Illegally. I can almost put my neck on the chopping board that there was something illegally happening to make sure that they got your people's tobacco farm from them. And that is how you go dig back into that stuff, and you can go back to the state, the city, or whoever and get the reparations, and they have to pay you. They have to pay you. Shout out. Thank you so much, New Orleans girl. I wish you would have put this on the morning jokes, but don't worry, I'm going to tell them about it. This is why I tell people to do genealogy. You never know who you are. And bigger than that, you never know who you come from. And don't that make you feel better, New Orleans girl, knowing that you came from that line of people? I'm telling you, man, the reason why they got us thinking we slaves is so that our mind never escalate beyond suffering right here. But boy, oh boy, ain't nothing better than going through your genealogy and find out, man, my people was, hold up. My people was the sheriff around this bitch. Hold up. My people own the whole town. I'm getting chill bumps talking about it. I swear to God, it do something to you. And it changes your mindset and your mentality. That's what they don't want you to know. That's why they got us over here doing 23andMe and all of that bull crap so that we never go back and figure out who exactly we are. Shout out to New Orleans girl. I sure appreciate you. Thank you for sharing that. More people need to hear that type of stuff. Real talk. Thank you so much. And she sent another super chat. Thank you, New Orleans girl. She said, sure did, sold it, got murdered the same year. There you go. There you go. There you go. New Orleans girl. Godspeed on your journey, girl. Whenever you get your money back and you get the tobacco farm and all of that, get a bitch a drink. That's all I want. I don't even drink hard liquor no more. A cute little margarita with sugar on the rim, I'm good to go. There you go. See how you pay it forward? Just buy me a drink, fat. When you go get your money, yeah, just call me and say, boo girl, I done got my little coins. Come meet me down here. We gonna get a drink. And I'm gonna meet you down there. I swear to God, on everything I love. Call me. I'm coming to get my drink. Thank you, New Orleans girl. But thank you so much for sharing that. Seriously, we need more people to share their stories. This is what they don't want you to know about yourself, Black America. And this is why Educational Friday is so important. Because listen, these are the things that they hide from us. And this is why we do this. We got to go back, unlearn, and relearn, okay? Now, remember, Ida B. Wells came along America, I think in the late 1800s. I want to say she was born in the 1860s. Either way, around that time, Black America financially and economically were doing well. Now, I know a lot of y'all might feel like that's crap voodoo because we were in slavery. Every Black American was not in slavery. Okay? Every Black American was not a slave. Take that idea, ball it up, and throw it away. Yes, a lot of us come from slaves. Yes, there were a lot of Black Americans who were slaves, but all of Black America were not slaves. As a matter of fact, the number is very astonishing when people really look at it. It was more people who were not slaves, for a long time than was. Okay? Now, why is this important? When Ida B. Wells comes along in the late 1800s and early 1900s, Black America has its own economy. This is the stuff they don't want to talk to y'all about. But Black America has its own economy. We got our own schools. We got our own banks. We got our own hospitals. We got our own post offices. We got all our own stuff. Okay? So Ida B. Wells and an NAACP coming along is good for the enemy because their job and their whole objective is to take everything we have from us and make us the slave and turn them into the owners. Because remember, these white folks are just coming in by the masses. What else is happening in the late 1800s and early 1900s? Ellis Island. So you got broke, poor whites, sickly whites coming in through Ellis Island, but you got blacks who are already here doing a big one. But remember, what they're trying to do during this time is a wealth and economic transfer. Right now in 2026, we're trying to reverse it and bring it back. But during this time in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, they're starting to switch around this wealth / economic transfer. We need to take the money from them and put it in our pockets and then make them come to us. That was the whole point. Okay? So when you create the NAACP, we already know that's not our friend, and you put all of these black people on this NAACP and put it in front of the people as if they are for the people, then the people are more likely to trust the NAACP, and that's an easy way for you to send in your Trojan horse. Use the NAACP to gain the trust of the people, and as soon as the people trust them, boom, you could run in and hijack. That's literally what happened. I did see that too. Ida B. Wells has a project named, or had a project named after her in Chicago, the Ida B. Wells Project. I looked that up too. And I saw that they're saying that they named it after her when it was a nice area and the apartments were super nice and it was this, that, and the third. Don't believe that. She has a project, the same reason why Martin Luther King have a holiday. They get their holidays for helping the enemy. That's part of the package deal, right? You come in, help the enemy, and the enemy will make sure you go down in history known as somebody who was for the people. That's a part of the package deal, okay? So her having a project in Chicago, that don't make me feel better. It actually makes me feel worse. Now I know that you were a government agent because all of their agents get named after shit. Y'all ain't never peeped that? All of their agents get holidays and they start naming stuff after them. Okay? That's normally what happens. So Ida B. Wells single-handedly, with the NAACP, she single-handedly bamboozled Black American women into using their energy to help white women and white people gain voting rights. And that's why we're here today. So let's jump off the porch and start to talk about Ida B. Wells. Remember, NAACP founder and also a D9 ski-wee. She was a Delta Sigma Theta, honorary, yet and still, Delta Sigma Theta, literal ski-wee. Okay? Ida B. Wells. Let's get her up here. It says Ida B. Wells, July 16th, 1862 to March 25th, 1931. They're going to always use the word in terms African American. Why is that, ladies and gentlemen? That is a way for the other Africans to tether on our history. That's why all of our titles going to always say African American. Even when they say Black American, they will always throw in African American as well, because they need the Godfreys of the world to have a way to tether on to us, okay? So Ida B. Wells Barnett was an American investigative journalist, sociologist, educator, and early leader in the civil rights movement. She was one of the founders of the NAACP, and it says Wells dedicated her career to combating prejudice and violence and advocating for African American equality, especially for women. So let me give y'all a little tea on this. Think about it. It's mind you, in this time frame in the late 1800s, women in the top states, they can vote, but women in the South cannot. Where they say Ida B. Wells was born at? Where they say she was born at? Hold on. Where was Ida B. Wells born? Ida B. Wells was born Mississippi. Oh, so she's from the South. Okay. She was born in Mississippi, so I'll give her that. She is born in Mississippi. I just found it odd that she did a lot of work down there. But remember, a lot of the NAACP people were from the North but came to the South. But either way, she joins the NAACP and she comes back to the South, and now she's here to help Black women and get their rights. Now, Black women have a different specific set of issues than any other people. They have a different set of issues than Black men, and they also have a different set of issues than white men and Black women. I mean, white men and white women as well. So if she's coming to the South to help Black women with their issues, then it needs to specifically be for Black women. But that is not what Ida B. Wells is here to do. She's here to pretend as if she's here to help Black women with their suffrage, but she's going to use that suffrage and those Black women's energy the same way we spoke earlier about how the LGBTQ community uses the Black people's energy to fund and fuel rich white men. She's going to do the exact same thing. She's going to go to the South. She's going to find these Black American women who are suffering and having all of these issues, and she's going to act like she's their friend, gain their trust, and then use that to help fund white women, okay? And help them to get their rights. Because remember, they're the ones in the South who need rights during this time. It said, let's get back into what she did. Throughout the 1890s, Ida B. Wells documented lynchings of African Americans in the United States in articles through pamphlets such as Southern Horrors, Lynch Laws, and all its phases, and the Red Record, which debunked the fallacy frequently voiced by whites at the time that all Black lynching victims were guilty of crimes. Wells exposed the brutality of lynching and analyzed its sociology, arguing that whites used lynching to terrorize African Americans in the South because they represented economic and political competition. She's right. They did, mind you. Did you hear what she just said? It says whites use lynching to terrorize African Americans in the South because they represent economic and political competition. Let's pause that right quick. Because remember, when we grew up, they told us everybody in the South was slaves. They told us all the Black people in the South were slaves. If that was the case, then why are white people lynching Black people? Due to economic and political competition. That means that those Black people were not scrubs, nor were they slaves. That means that those Black people were more than competition. They were the competition. You see what I'm saying? Remember, these are poor whites pouring in from Ellis Island. They don't have anything. All they have is a promise from the American company, or the American company, that they will have their American dream. They don't have nothing. They coming in here, they getting new names, they getting new identities, they getting new land, all of this stuff they're getting. And they're next door to Black people who's doing extremely well. So Ida B. Wells is coming into a situation where Black people ain't that bad off because white folks is lynching them for being competition. It goes on to say, it says all Black lynching victims were guilty of crime. Wells exposed the brutality of lynching and analyzed its sociology, arguing that whites used lynching to terrorize African Americans in the South because they represented economic and political competition, and thus a threat of loss of power for whites. So let me say another thing that's happening during this time. Right now in the South, in the late 1800s, and especially the early 1900s, it is predominantly Black. The South is predominantly Black American. They got some whites down there, but it ain't a lot. It is predominantly Black American. Do you know why this is? Because remember, prior to this, the Louisiana Purchase hadn't been made. So all of America is only the 13 colonies. That's New York, Virginia, and all of them places up there, Pennsylvania and things of that nature. But Louisiana, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Texas, none of this is America. And these places are filled with Black Americans already there. Never forget that. And these ain't no scrub ass niggas down here. Okay? I'm telling y'all the truth through the lies. So, Black Americans are already doing good in the South. We're already outnumbering the clears, and we still do in 2026. They just lie to you through census, and they lie to you through them whack-ass numbers to tell you that we the minority. We are still the majority, and we've always been the majority. So now we're down here, we're political and economic competition. Not only are we political and economic competition, the white people feel like we pose a threat of a loss of power. Mind you, they don't have no power at this time. They're going into their power. But if Black Americans start realizing the play, then we may never get in it. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have a whole influx of KKK and lynching and rioting, all of these things. These are poor whites who want their piece at the American pie. And the only way to get it is from these niggas. You see what I'm saying? So now, we already have established that Ida B. Wells is coming into the South to help Black American women, but it don't seem like we doing too bad. Because honestly, Black Americans in the South are posing a political competition and threat and loss of powers to the clears. It says, Wells was born into slavery in Holly Springs, Mississippi. She was freed as an infant under the Emancipation Proclamation when the Union Army troops captured Holly Springs. At the age of 16, she lost both her parents and her infant brother in the 1878 yellow fever epidemic. She got a job teaching and kept the rest of the family together while with the help of her grandmother, later moving with some of her siblings to Memphis, Tennessee. Soon Wells co-owned and wrote the Memphis Free Speech and Headline newspaper, where her reporting covered incidents of racial segregation and inequality. Eventually, her investigative journalism was carried nationally into Black-owned newspaper. It says subjected to continued threats and criminal violence, including when a white mob destroyed her newspaper office and presses. Wells left Memphis for Chicago, Illinois, where she married Ferdinand L. Barnett in 1895 and had a family while continuing her work, writing, speaking, and organizing for civil rights and the women's movement for the rest of her life. Now, she's going to go off and do a whole bunch of other things. It says Wells was outspoken regarding her beliefs as a Black female activist and faced regular public disapproval, sometimes including from other leaders within the civil rights movement and the women's suffrage movement. That's a play. Listen, they hired the powers that be, hired Ida B. Wells to play like she's the friend of Black America, right? And in that, remember, they're making her the protagonist. Now we need some antagonists because nobody's going to believe that she really cares unless she's up against opposition. So get other people inside the NAACP to say something stupid against her, get her to clap back, and now they beefing. So now it looks like, oh, she's really doing this by herself. That's all they're doing. But they're tricking the people during the same time because remember, yeah, we got our issues, but we must not be doing too bad if the white folks is lynching us for doing better than them. But Ida B. Wells, remember, they're going to write her into history as the woman who stood up for all of Black women in the South. If it wasn't for Ida B. Wells, us Blacks in the South, especially us Black Negro women's, we wouldn't be nowhere else if it wasn't for Miss Ida B. Wells. And I'm here to tell y'all Ida B. Wells is full of shit. Ida B. Wells ain't do a goddamn thing for Black women. As a matter of fact, after she got us to put our energy toward it, white women and all women did get the voting rights, and then Black women got tossed to the side. Per usual. Isn't that always what happens? Y'all, you got to understand. If America tells you to love someone from the past, you need to be doing your research. And the reason I'm saying that is because America is not designed to help Blacks in America. That's not why we're here. That's not why the America that we know is here. The whole purpose of that America is to steal everything from us and to take. So if America's job is to take, then you can't believe that anybody they give us is our heroes when their whole job is to take. And to this day, they're still taking. So when America come to you and say, hey, Black America, we got you a leader, you need to be squinting your eyes like, wait a minute. Because why would my enemy offer me a leader? Let's put our thinking caps on really quickly. If me and you beefing and I want you dead, why would I offer you a leader? Even better, why would I celebrate your leader with you? I want you dead. I don't even like you. I don't even want you here. Why would I give you a leader and then celebrate that leader with you? See how that don't make common sense when we put our thinking caps on? That's what we need to do daily when we're looking at this history, because when you do it and you put your thinking caps on, it doesn't make common sense. Yes, it makes sense because you've heard it over and over again all your years. But when you really say it out loud and think about it, it makes zero common sense. That enemy don't have no heroes for us. If that enemy says it's a hero, it's an enemy. Because the enemy of my enemy or something like that is your best friend or something like that. You see what I'm saying? Now, I want to get into this article because I found a couple of articles about Miss Ida. Again, they want us to revere Miss Ida. Miss Ida was our savior, right? Allegedly. Let me scroll down. And this is Ida. It's a lot of depictions of her, but she has a lot of pictures as well. Okay. Now, mind you, she was a writer and she used to go by the name Lola. Now, according to what I read about Ida B. Wells was the person to expose what was really going on with the lynching. So what was going on? So you had white men going around lynching Black American men for businesses, for votes, and all kinds of things. But they were telling the law and the rest of the world, oh, we're lynching them because they're bad or because he stole or because he did that. The same thing they do in 2026 down at the courthouse. Well, Ida B. Wells went undercover and described her as the name Lola. And what she was doing was basically spilling all the tea. So she would put out in her newspapers and in her writings, oh, girl, they lying. They not killing these Black men because of this, that, and the third. They killing these Black men because they got money. Or, girl, they killing these Black men because they got votes. Girl, she basically exposed those whites. Now, let me show you how cunning and messed up this enemy is. He set that up too. Because, see, the enemy don't give a damn about the poor whites or the poor Blacks. He don't give a damn if whites kill Blacks. He don't give a damn if Blacks kill whites. That enemy at the top just need all of y'all at the bottom to be wiped out. He just need enough of y'all to stay so that he can remain rich, but he need enough of y'all at the bottom to be gone. Okay? So now, another way for you guys to believe that Ida is on your side is to continue to apply opposition. Another form of opposition was Ida B coming out, being able to speak or snitch on the lynchings. Now, you got to know she's getting this information from an inside source. Duh, the NAACP. That is the inside source. And they set her up to snitch on them whites, and it worked because Black people, we still do this in 2026. As soon as somebody Black do something good for us, we forget all rhyme and reason, and that person can't do no wrong. And that's exactly what happened with Ida B. Wells. When she started writing in her writings how white people was killing Black people for no reason or killing them because they had more money, Black people started looking to her like, OMG, that's our sister girl. She's on our side. But she was not. That was all contrived as well, in my opinion, allegedly, by the NAACP. Okay? They say Epstein's plane is named Lola. Oh, wow. Yeah. But anyway, that was her ghostwriting name, Lola. I didn't know Epstein's plane name was Lola. Look at what she wrote, some of the things she wrote. When I present our cause to a minister, editor, lecturer, or representative of any moral agency, the first demand is for facts and figures. She also quotes, when the lives of men, women, and children are at stake, when the inhumane butchers of the innocent attempt to justify their barbarism by fastening up upon a whole race, the obloquy, whatever, the obloquy of the most infamous of crimes, it is little less than criminal to apologize for the butchers. Today and tomorrow, repudiate the apology by declaring it a figure of speech. So she's basically like writing to the Black people like, girl, they out here killing us, and they trying to basically say it's because this, that, and the third, but we know it's something different, and I'm over here to tell y'all, and I'm writing as Lola. I'm Lola. I'm a ghostwriter. Lola the ghostwriter, girl, I'm over here telling y'all this is all some bull crap. They just over there killing them Black people for no reason. And again, that is part of the hijack. Hold on, let me see something before I move on. Okay, let's get into her. in this Rosa Parks thing. So did you guys know that Ida B. Wells had a Rosa Parks incident prior to Rosa Parks? So back before they had buses, when we were all on trains, apparently Ida B. Wells was asked to give up her seat for a black person or a white person, I'm sorry, and Ida B. Wells refused. And she became the Rosa Parks of the train rails, right? This is back then, before we had a bus. Now, this tells me that even the Rosa Parks thing, we already know that was a scam, but it's giving Ida B. Wells was a scam too. Because how all of this keep happening over and over and over again? Anyway, let's get into what happened. It says on May 4th, 1884, Wells Barnett undertook her commute to Shelby County on the Chesapeake Bay, Ohio Railroad. Hold on. Didn't she get married in 1894? What year did... They said she got married in 1894. What year did Ida B. Wells get married? Yeah, 1895. So this is before she was married. Okay. I was about to say, bitch, you better not be done had no husband and you ride no train. Because you know Rosa Parks had a husband and she was on the train screwing with the porters. Allegedly. Okay. All right. It says May 4th, 1884, Wells Barnett undertook her commute to Shelby County on the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad. She purchased a first-class ticket to sit in the ladies' car, but the conductor ordered her to move to the smoking car. After being forcefully dragged off the train, Wells Barnett noted that the white passengers stood on the seats so that they could get a good view and continued applauding the conductor for his brave stand. It says she retaliated by suing the Ohio Railway Company and initially won compensation for the harassment. However, the Tennessee State Supreme Court later reversed the decision, and it says still the case reflects Wells Barnett's early commitment to legal equity. Let me tell you something. That sounds like it was staged. That sounds like it was staged, and it sounds like it was something that they kept restaging over and over again. And doesn't it have the NAACP written all over it? Remember, the NAACP is 100% behind Rosa Parks when she does it in the 1950s or the 60s. So my thing is, how does Ida B. Wells have the exact similar mirroring situation on a train 100 years earlier? It's wash, rinse, repeat. That's what it's giving to me. But again, all of these things are needed because when they write her story in his story, they need us to believe that she was on our side. That's cap. That's cap. Let's get into this women's suffrage really quickly. Because remember, her whole point is her whole agenda, in my opinion, Ida B. Wells' agenda is not for black people. It is for white women. That is her agenda. And it wasn't just her. Who was the lady who said, ain't I a woman? Sophie B. Wright. That's another one. A lot of black women agenda was for white women. Do you hear me? Her agenda is not for black women. Her agenda coming to the South is for white women and white women only. Let's get into it. Her suffrage activist for the history books. Now, they writing this for all women, but remember, she started out fighting for black women. Quote, if this work can contribute in any way toward providing this and at the same time arouse the conscience of the American people to a demand for justice to every citizen. Are y'all listening? Remember, she's supposed to be down here for black people. But in her writing, she's talking about every citizen. Look, people to a demand for justice to every citizen and punishment by law for the lawless. I shall feel I have done my race a service, okay? It says she fought tirelessly for the right for all women. That's that all-inclusive shit. That's that people of color shit. She fought tirelessly for the right for all women to vote, despite facing racism within the suffrage movement. On August 18, 1920, Congress ratified the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, giving women the right to vote. Now, I forgot to bring that up. The 19th Amendment happened, and in the 19th Amendment, it's not all states, but in the 19th Amendment, it's giving women the right to vote, and those states are as follows. Hold on, don't give me the line. What were the states in the 19th Amendment's right to vote for women? I'm about to tell you right now. I had it all. Okay. Territory of Wyoming, Utah, Washington, Montana, Alaska. They got California. No, it said the following territories provided full voting rights before statehood. So Wyoming, Utah, Washington, Montana, and Alaska. They already had the full rights. Then it says the following states granted women the right to vote prior to the 19th Amendment. So now add Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, Idaho, Washington, California, Arkansas, Kansas, Oregon, Montana, Nevada, New York, Michigan, Oklahoma, and South Dakota. All of these people got the right to vote prior to this girl, Ida B. Wells. Those last few states I called off, they got the vote prior to the 19th Amendment, okay? Then it says, in these states, women could vote for the president prior to the 19th Amendment, and that's in Illinois, Nebraska, Ohio, Indiana, North Dakota, Rhode Island, Iowa, Maine, Minnesota, Missouri, Tennessee, and Wisconsin. What states do you not hear on that? All the states inside of the Louisiana Purchase. Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Texas. I don't think Texas is on there. Texas, Florida, what else is that now? Arkansas. None of those states are in there. You know why? Because America doesn't encompass those states yet. America is only the 13 colonies. That's the part on the east, the northeast side of the states. Okay? So none of the black women in the South have the right to vote. And Ida's supposed to come down there and help those women with their suffrage. But remember, they don't know, the black women in the South during this time don't know that when she come down there, she's not coming to just help you. As a matter of fact, she's not coming to help you at all. She's coming to use you to help them. Let's get back into it. It says, but sadly, then as now, the law didn't apply equally to all. Due to the prevalence of Jim Crow laws, it took another 45 years and the passage of the Voting Rights Act for black women to be able to cast their ballots. While women's suffrage has been associated with white women like Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, it's beyond time for us to recognize that pioneering black activists like Ida B. Wells were fighting for a bigger battle against sexism and racism and face obstacles within their own movement. Let's pause this. Black American women during this time are suffering, and white women during this time are suffering. But these are two different sufferings. The things that black women in the South are complaining about are not the things that white women in the South are complaining about. They're living two totally, completely different lives. So the fact that Ida B. Wells came to the South and took those black women's suffrage and then combined it with all women is what listen, I don't know if y'all caught on yet. That is the tactic. The tactic to take from you is to combine first and then take and extract next. They did it with civil rights. They're literally doing it with black America and these Africans. This is why every time you turn around, you're African. They're trying to combine us first so that they can take from us. That's what Ida B. Wells did to black women in the South. There were black American women with specific suffrages that white women did not have. And then she came down there and said, no, we're going to do suffrage for all women. But this is the gag. The white women aren't the ones that's going through it like the black women. It kind of goes off with the same shit I talked about earlier with Funky Dineva and the TS's down there with the LGBTQ. Basically, the white women would benefit off of the black people's pain. That's That's what she did. Because you cannot combine black women's suffrage with white women's suffrage. They're not the same. They don't even have the same issues. And when it all comes out in the wash, when women finally get their rights, guess who's left holding the bag with nothing? Guess out of all the women under this women rights situation, who's left holding the bag? That's the play. Get her down there, get the people to trust her, get them to believe in her, have her steal from them, and then we're going to swipe her up out of there and write her off in history like she was the best thing since sliced bread. That's what they've been doing with all of these leaders, is wash, rinse, repeat. So now here she go combining the suffrages, and now she wants to make it an all women against sexism and racism. It says Wells, who was born in slaves in Holly Springs, Mississippi, 1862, was a prolific investigative journalist and suffragist who campaigned tirelessly for anti-lynching legislation. Her activism began in 1884 when she refused to give up her train car seat, leading to a successful lawsuit against the train company. Listen, y'all, I tell you, wash, rinse, repeat. That enemy don't change his tactics. It just hope that you stay asleep. Okay? So now Ida B. Wells is a women's suffrage and a journalist, right? And her activism she started activism in the South. Listen, they strategically put these people down here so that they can be in the middle of where the crap is going on so that they can become the heroes. They literally are creating heroes in a lab in the back. So they saying, holy crap, they lynching niggas in Mississippi. Hey, you, and you. Y'all going to Mississippi. Y'all gonna be down there for the anti-lynching. Go ahead. We'll send you the orders. Don't worry about it. Pack your bags, fat. You. And y'all, we gonna put y'all in the paper. We gonna have y'all arrested to make the people think that it's all kind of messed up. We gonna beat y'all up, get y'all arrested, snap your mugshot, plaster it on the front of the paper, and then all 4 or 5 of y'all gonna go to Mississippi and help them people down there. I'm telling you what they did. And Ida B. Wells is one of those people. Ida B. Wells is one of those people that they hand selected to go where suffrage was already happening and said, hey, we're going to make you their leader. We're going to make you the person that they look to. And it worked flawlessly. And again, all you have to do is make the people believe that this person is going through obstacles and it will work. That's exactly what they did. They put her through all kind of obstacles. You see what I'm saying? They put her through all kind of obstacles so that we believe that this is a genuine suffrage, okay? Let me see. This is another thing. The best way to control the people is through the media, right? This is why the Jews own all of the media now. Now, when the Jews own this media, they put specific people in place for certain reasons. And some of those people are Black Americans. Ida B. Wells was also a writer for the printing press, right? She was a newspaper writer, right? Now, this is very powerful because whatever Ida B. writes, people are going to take at face value because she's Ida B. Wells. She's the woman down here helping Black people. So we're going to be more inclined to go read her stuff more than anybody's, right? So it makes sense to put her in position to have that power over the media to give the people the false illusion that she's really on your side and she's really here to help. Okay? So now let's get into her writing. It says under the pen name Lola, she was hailed as the princess of the press. It says, you know who else it remind me of? What's that Black dude name from Chicago who owned the Chicago Tribune? Black fat dude. He became a millionaire. And he was down there in Chicago. He owned the Chicago Tribune. And he was the one that helped a lot of Black people from the South migrate from the South voluntarily from the South to the North via that goddamn newspaper. What the Black fat dude name? He looked like Meatball. I'm going to remember his name. But he is a Black dude who, because I'm going to be mad if I can't remember his name. Who's the Black guy? Let me see. He owned the printing press. Hold on. Who's the Black guy who owned the printing press in Chicago in the early 1900s? Robert Singstack Abbott. That's his name. Robert Abbott. Y'all ever see that show Abbott Elementary? After that nigga. Listen, he another one. He was a black man who owned the media. He owned the newspaper. And what Robert Singstack Abbott would do is he would put in the newspaper, he would put on the front pages how great it is to come to Chicago, how horrible it is in Mississippi and Alabama and Louisiana, how y'all need to leave there and come up here in Chicago. It's pretty, it's nice, and they got factory jobs, and you can live in these tall buildings, and it's lit. And boo-coo black Americans packed they shit. I'm talking about packed their families and left and ran to Chicago. Got all the way up there and went right into another form of slavery. When I tell you the black Americans was beyond pissed, most of them sold their land to come up there for a better opportunity because they had lynchings and all kind of shit going on in Mississippi. Robert Singstack Abbott, never forget that name. He's one of the main people that pulled a lot of black Americans voluntarily from the South to Chicago through that very printing press, and they made him a very rich man. Robert Singstack Abbott was a millionaire when nobody ain't had no money. He was a very rich man. Okay? Now, it's given Ida B. Wells is going to have the same fate. It's given Ida B. Wells got her printing press or her newspaper column so that she can do the exact same thing. Let's get into it. It says, while working as a teacher, Ida joined a lyceum, a club for intellectual and literary discussion, founded by black teachers. It says club meetings ended with readings from a newspaper called the Evening Star. When the editor of the paper moved away, Ida took over his duties. She was then invited to write articles for a local religious newspaper, Living Way. It says, despite having no training in journalism, readers enjoyed her clear, straightforward writing style. An article she wrote describing her lawsuit against the railroad soon helped her gain greater fame. That's done by design. What's the best thing to write? Tell these niggas about the time you beat the white man. What time? The time you had sued them on the railroad train. Oh, that's gonna be the one. They gonna really believe me then. Of course. What black person wouldn't want to hear about a black woman suing a rail train for being racist? I would have wanted to read it. It says newspapers around the country reprinted her article, and soon they wanted more. Before long, she was contributing to 10 newspapers around the USA. She was even selected or elected secretary of the National Press Association in 1889. They put her in position. Although few female reporters had much influence in the 19th century, Ida, or Lola, the name she wrote under, was called the Princess of the Press. Now, let me ask y'all something. If very few women, period, have this job or this type of clout in the printing press, what make Ida so special? What would make them white folks give Ida the opportunity out of anybody? Let's just say I'm lying and she's not a conspiracy. I mean, this is not a conspiracy and this is genuine. What would make these racist crackers who really want to take everything from us, what would make them give her an opportunity to be a writer? Absolutely nothing. Because that's the play. Y'all got to be able to read between the lines. If they gave her the printing press, it's because they wanted her to have the printing press. Now, why? That should be your next question. Oh, because we can use her to control the narrative. Let's get back into it. It says, when a mob lynched a friend of hers, she found a new purpose as a journalist. For Ida B. Wells, anti-lynching work was personal. A personal friend of hers, Thomas Moss, was a black man who owned a successful grocery store. Now, here you go. Mind you, I told you we wasn't doing bad. Now, her little partner owned a grocery store. His main competitor in business was a white man who felt jealous of his success. Remember the setting. Black Americans are doing extremely well. I know they like us to believe we were all slaves, but we were not. Also, remember, she said, her words, not mine, that those white folks is mad at our political and economic power and leverage. She even said that what they called us a threat. Let's move on. It said, now her partner owned a grocery store. His main competitor is a white man who felt jealous of his success. The business rival made false accusations against Moss, leading to his and his business partner's arrest. Soon, the racist mob stormed the jail, took Moss and his business partners out of town, and executed them without a fair trial. That's also done by design. If you kill him, you ain't got to worry about him beating the case and continuing being competition. Also, if you kill him, it make the other niggas scared to reopen the store. During the 19th century, even many well-meaning people believed that lynching was a form of justice. But Ida knew from her own experience and from extensive research into 720 lynching cases that this was an excuse to terrorize and harm members of the Black community and a way to keep them from receiving fair trials. She risked her life to advocate against lynching. It says, Ida pushed an editorial for a paper called Free Speech and Headlight about the real motivations behind lynchings. It enraged the local white business owners, and a mob destroyed her newspaper office while she was out of town in New York. How convenient. I'm pretty sure the Jews called and said, hey, Ida girl, go to New York. We're going to send somebody in there to mess up your store. Go to New York, girl. They're on the way. All right. So conveniently, she was out of town when they came in there. Okay. It goes on to say, where was I? It enraged local white business owner and a mob. Okay, I say rather than return to Memphis, she stayed in New York, continuing her career as a journalist there. For much of her life, Ida B. Wells campaigned for a federal law against lynching in writing and speaking engagements. She pressured 4 U.S. presidents, of course, from McKinley to Harding, to do something about it. Although her efforts didn't pay off in her lifetime, a federal law finally passed in 2022. I see them numbers, 222. She lost her job as a teacher due to speaking out against segregation. It says while she was gaining fame as a reporter, Ida still worked as a full-time teacher. The Reverend Taylor Nightingale, owner of a Black newspaper in Memphis called Free Speech and Headlight, asked her to become a staff writer for him. She agreed, but only if he made her co-owner. He accepted. It says, though the paper had a good sized following, it didn't sell enough copies to make Ida a full-time living. It says, unfortunately, an article she wrote against segregation got back into the Memphis Public School Board, and it says they refused to renew her teaching contract. It says, but that didn't deter Ida. She traveled around the neighboring southern states to find new subscribers and advertisers for the newspaper, advertising it by word of mouth. Wells wrote, in 9 months, I had income nearly as large as I had received teaching and felt sure that I had found my vocation. So basically, it's kind of like in 2026, if she quit her job as a teacher to become a content creator and basically go on YouTube and solicit people to come read her or come on her page. Y'all come over here, come on my YouTube channel. I'm telling them everybody about how they lynching Black people in real life. You know how many people going to run over there, especially when all of the channels during the time, all of the newspapers or YouTube channels during that time are saying that these people deserve to be lynched. They're saying that these people deserve to die. If I'm the only Ida B. Wells back then, I know I'm about to be rich. I'm about to be the only bitch, especially Black bitch, in the South, down here telling these Black folks what they want to hear. That's the play. And it makes for good content. Duh, obviously she was rich. I would be rich too if I was Ida B. Wells in the late 1800s. All she did was find a hole. She found a place of suffrage for Black people and said, boom, that's my niche. And she went down there. Okay? Now, we heard that about Ida B. Wells. And let me just say this before we move on. I'm not trying to just drag people for the sake of dragging them. What I'm trying to show you guys is that we have been hijacked, and a lot of the things that we've been taught about our people, especially our so-called heroes, are lies. And this is why I know it is imperative that we find the real life heroes. Let me show you a real life hero. Instead of us running behind the Ida B. Wells of it all, Instead of us running behind these fake ass leaders and these fake ass activists that we thought had our back, instead of running behind the Ida B. Wells of it all, what we need to be doing is our own genealogy and finding the real heroes from our past and our history. Like New Orleans girl found out her people was whole tobacco farm owners. That's the real heroes, not no goddamn Ida B. Wells, not no goddamn Martin Luther King, not no goddamn, none of these niggas is real heroes. The real heroes is in your genealogy. Why you think they give you Ida B. Wells? Why you think they gave her to you? Because if you keep her and hold her as the hero, you won't look for another one. When the real heroes is in your bloodline. Because you are the hero. You are the people who came before you, Black America. Let's be clear. You are the people who came before you. You have remnants of everybody who came before you in you. That means you are the people who came before you. So if the people came before you were tobacco farm owners, then that means you're not living to your fullest potential. If the people came before you owned hospitals and hotels, you're not living to your fullest potential because you are a part of them and they are a part of you. The reason why you don't own nothing because the internet and the media told you wasn't nothing but a slave from Africa. And if you tell a group of people all they is slave from Africa with no real origin, then they have no reason to look forward to anything. They have no reason to create. They have no reason to build because they have no foundation. This is why they put so much money and so much effort into Pan-Africanism, because you have to continue to buy into the lie that you're an African with no origin. Because God forbid you do genealogy and find out exactly who you are, you're going to rise up. That's the play. And that's what they don't want to happen. God forbid you do your genealogy, find out your bloodline, and actually start walking and talking like that and living like that. God forbid, you know? That's what they don't want to happen. Thank you for the super chat, High Chief. This she says, I'm realizing they really put in work to flip the script on us. Facts. We really are who they want to be, and you cannot duplicate a God. There you go. Thank you, High Chiefess. You literally summed it up perfectly. That's exactly what it is. They put in so much effort and so much money and so much work to flip this script because we are the gods. And you cannot duplicate gods. Okay? That's why they keep us sick. That's why they got us distracted with Quiet on the Creek. And that's why they got us distracted with scamming and all of that stuff. Because God forbid. Sorry, y'all. I had to drink some water. But God forbid you absolutely know who you are. They wouldn't be able to do it. Because guess what? Once you figure out who you are, you go take your place at the top. And where you think they go? It's kind of like balancing the scales. If the scale is like this currently, right? If they're here and we here, and then we come into our identity, and that puts us here, as this rise, that one got to fall. This is why they put all this emphasis on you being African. Now you see why they want you to be African? Because if you stay African, they stay here. But if you find out who you are and you become enlightened, you start to raise your consciousness, ultimately raising you and your people, and they got to go down. They don't want that. Why you think they made the 154 podcast? They don't want that. God, no. Janine Unfiltered, thank you for the super chat, says they don't question her travel and cost. They don't question her travel and cost as a Black during that time. No internet, but she's so well known and trusted. You know what's crazy? I know a lot of Black people questioned it, but those Black people's voices would never be heard. I'm pretty positive a whole ton of Black people question that, but those people's voices get filtered. Those people's voices get shunned. Shut up, nigga. We don't need you to ask no questions. You're doing too much. You know what I'm saying? But that's a great question. Other Black Americans should have been like, who she is, where she come from? And even if she came from money, that's one thing, but she didn't. Ida B didn't come from no money. She was a po bitch. So how the hell is she affording all of this travel? How the hell is she getting all of these good ass jobs? How is she rubbing shoulders with all of these rich ass people and bucking them up to give her half of their company? How, Sway? Now I will say, as a Pisces, we do have the gift of gab. I know I could buck a nigga up to give me half his company. I know it. So I get it. She probably used her gift of gab, but it's more than that. It is more than that. For her to even be in the room with these people tells me that she was placed there. Okay? Yep, born a slave. Yes, she was born a slave. She was born a slave. She did get emancipated at 6 months old because her parents were emancipated when she was 6 months old. But yes, she was born a slave. But somehow she balling. Somehow she balling. My girl traveling here, there, writing papers, outside. She outside. You feel what I'm saying? Okay. Now I want to get into her NAACP work. Get the lights up. Yeah, first class. She was cutting up, baby, with no money. Huh? Cutting up with no scissors? Mm-hmm. Is she the backdrop of the feminist movement? Yes, she's one of the origins of the backdrop of the feminist movement. Yes, she's one of the origins. Yes. Let's get into her NAACP work. Ida B. Wells was a trailblazing journalist, a co-founder of the NAACP, and a fierce advocate for equal rights and against lynching. Now, my thing is this. How the hell would she find the NAACP? Now, whenever you hear about the NAACP, they always show you pictures of these men. They never show you pictures of the women's. Y'all ain't never noticed that? Does this article touch on that? Hold on. They never give us information about the women. Hold on. Now, all of a sudden, she was a co-founder. Now, all of a sudden, right? Hold on. I'm trying to find, no, that this is not telling me anything. Hold on. That's the same one I just pulled up. Hold on, y'all give me a second. I'm trying to find a separate article because the NAACP is being very hush mouth about who this lady is and how she became an NAACP member. Let me see. Celebrating 110 years of the NAACP. It says this year marks 110th anniversary of the NAACP, so we think there's no better time than now to highlight the role of those unsung heroes. Ida B. Wells. Our inaugural article features the life and legacy of Ida B. Wells Barnett and her significant contributions to America and to African American culture. It was fewer than 6 months before President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation that in 1862, Ida B. Wells was born into slavery. And they keep saying that. We know where she was born at. The Wells family, like others enslaved families, in the Confederate States were declared free by the stroke of Lincoln's pen, January 1st, 1863. The Wells family believed that education was the key to upward mobility in this newly organized American paradigm. Her father was one of the founders and members of the Board of Trustees of Shaw University, now Russ College, the school at which Ida B. Wells would begin her studies at an early age. So wait, pause. Your daddy was a teacher? Not only a teacher, a founder and a member on the Board of Trustees at Shaw University? You wait, hold up. Your daddy was somebody. Your daddy was somebody. Hold on. James Wells, a skilled carpenter and activist who was born into slavery. Now, see, they keep saying that, but this don't make no sense. Worked as a carpenter and built parts of the house that is now the Ida B. Wells Museum. See how they don't give you much information on them? I want to know about her daddy. They don't tell you much about the daddy. It says, Ida B. Wells, born into slavery, 1862. Following the conclusion of the Civil War, Wells' parents became politically active as the country navigated Reconstruction. Ida's father, James, was a member of the Freedmen's Aid Society, as well as one of the founders of Rusk College in Holly Springs, one of 10 historically Black universities founded in 1868 that is still operating today. Her daddy was a boule. Encouraged to pursue her education, Ida B. enrolled at Rusk College, but was ousted from her studies after dispute. She was a boule baby. Freemason boule baby, yay! She was already connected. Her daddy wasn't no bum ass nigga. She was already connected through her daddy. See, this is why research is very important. Because if you just go with what the first thing Google said, they're going to lie and say, oh, yeah, she was born into slavery. Her mom and daddy died in the epidemic, and then she became famous. No, her daddy had the plug. Her daddy was the plug. Her daddy the plug. That's crazy. Her daddy was a member of the Freedmen's Aid Society, as well as one of the founders of Rusk College in Holly Springs, one of 10 historically Black universities founded before 1868, that is still operating today. Encouraged to pursue her education, Ida later enrolled at Rusk College. Okay, her daddy founded one of the first colleges. Hold on, because now I want to see something else. What is this phone acting funny? What is the Freedmen's Aid Society? A 19th century religious and charitable organization, most notably established by the Methodist Episcopal Church in 1866, created to build schools, train teachers, and provide education for formerly enslaved African Americans in the American South during Reconstruction era. Her daddy was a Freemason who started this AME shit. African Methodist Episcopal. She a boule baby. She a Freemason baby or a boule baby. Either way, this is all contrived. See how that go? See how I'm sitting here saying, how is this girl rubbing shoulders with all of these people, bucking them up to give her half their company? Her daddy. She got connections through her daddy. This is why I keep telling y'all, the bloodline is extremely important. When y'all be wanting to know about people, follow their goddamn bloodline. Her daddy is one of the first agents. He was the agent before her. He in charge of the Freedmen's Aid Society, which was a religious and charitable organization. That's the AME church people. There you go. Girl. Back to where we was. Her father was one of the founders and members of the board of trustees of Shaw University, now Rusk College, the school at which Ida B. would begin her studies at an early age. However, at age 16, she had to drop out of college when both of her parents and 3 of her siblings died from yellow fever. The courage and strength she showed during this time would become her legacy. So because her mom and daddy died and she didn't die, now she's a leader. Like, what else was she supposed to do? My mom and my daddy died. I got siblings. She did what she was supposed to do. Why does that make her a leader? Why does that make her great? While elder family members encouraged her to split up the family, Wells said no. Instead, she took on the role of mother and father. She dropped out of school and, with the help of her grandmother, cared for her 4 remaining siblings. Her grandmother watched the children during the week so that she could work as an elementary school teacher in Holly Springs, Mississippi. In 1883, 2 of her siblings died. Damn, bitch. She giving me Jennifer Hudson teas. Everybody dying around this hole. In 1883, 2 more of her siblings died, and Wells decided to take up the offer of one of her aunts and move with her remaining 2 siblings to Memphis. She worked as a teacher in the Shelby County school system, and during summer vacations, she continued her education at Fisk University in Nashville and Lemoyne-Owen in Memphis. Building on the courage she had affirmed earlier in 1884, Ida entered into her journalism career and commenced her battle-ready stance for activism. Of course, she was bred for that. On a day in May of that year, she purchased a first-class ticket for 30 cents. Now, bitch, who gave you 30 cents to board the Chesapeake and Ohio train from Memphis to Nashville? Oh, she riding first class. She made a conscious decision to sit in the ladies' car. However, Black women were not considered ladies. Even when they had purchased first-class tickets, they were confined to the colored car. Girl, now that I know your daddy was a boule / Freemason, and I know that he was one of the founders of the schools and all of this, now I know this train ride shit is all contrived. Now I know this is fake. This gotta be fake. It has to be. None of this is happenstance. None of this is just all coincidence. No, 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 no. This is all contrived, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. There we have it. Now I want to get into a little bit of Ida and her women's rights, because this is why we're here. Hold on. I got 2 articles I want to show y'all. Hold on. I got this one and this one. Let's start with when women lost their right to vote, the timeline, right? Now remember, Black America, do not be fooled. They want you to believe that in the South, we were all destitute slaves with no rights. That's not true. Remember, in the South, in the 1700s, the Congress was all Black. In the 1700s, in Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, and all of those other states included, was all Black Congress. And the only people to vote in an all Black Congress is who, Black America? Drop down in the comments. Because white folks ain't going to vote them in. Ain't no Asians here for real. Us. So that means at some point, we had to have the right to vote. Because in the 1700s, we had an all-Black Congress in the South. All Black. We had to vote them in. So somehow, somewhere during this time, we had the right to vote, then we lost the right to vote, then we had it, then we lost it. I'm telling you. And this is all due to these laws that they're creating. I want to get into a timeline of women and their right to vote. Like the video, please, if you haven't already. Thank you, and let the people know we're around here Joseph. It says, women voted in revolutionary America. Over 100 years before the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution guaranteed the right to women vote to women nationally in 1920. It says this timeline explores women's political activism, their changing rights, and the history of the women's suffrage and women's rights movement in New Jersey and across the nation from 1754 to 1920. It also traces some of the major events that shaped the state of New Jersey, the new nation, and the world from the mid-18th century through the early 20th. Okay, 1754 to 1790. How did women gain the right to vote? Now, this is the promise of 1776 for women. All right? In 1754, the French and Indian War. Who are those people fighting in that war? The French and Indian War. Us. And let me make you laugh, on both sides. Crazy work. Look, we are the French We are the Indian, because original France was Louisiana. They made France in Europe later. Somehow, and we can get into it another day because I don't want to go on a diatribe, they turned France from Louisiana to the France we know in Europe. So now we got a European France, and we got Louisiana, and we got Indians in Louisiana, and there's a whole war going on, okay? Now, it says the French-Indian War, also known as the 7 Years' War, which is Black Americans, this is when we begin. This conflict puts Britain and her colonies against the French and the Native American nations, because we're all the same people. The war ends in 1763 with the Treaty of Paris, greatly expanding Britain's empire into North America. So now we're fighting against Great Britain. 1756, Lydia Chapin votes in Ubrix, Massachusetts. 1765, Sir William Blackstone publishes commentaries on the laws of England, reinforcing the tradition of coverture. It says that once married, a woman's property belongs to her husband and she has no legal rights. Coverture was brought over by the British colonies or colonists who followed the tradition of English common law. Now, let me say this also, Black America. In America, especially in the South, women have rights. As a matter of fact, women own land. But elsewhere, outside of America, women don't have rights. They're bringing in this patriarchal bullshit to America in a place where women didn't have that. We didn't deal with this. We had a very good understanding with women and men in America. Now they're bringing their patriarchal bullshit over to America, and they want everything to be handled by men. So this is why women are losing rights like crazy in the South, because the rights that we already had under our own jurisdiction, they're taking away once we become American citizens. Okay? It goes on to say the Stamp Act is passed by the British Parliament, placing a direct tax on newspapers, playing cards, and pamphlets. Some colonists view this as unfair taxation without representation and form an organization called the Sons and Daughters of Liberty. These groups begin to organize boycotts of British goods, and it says women take an active role in their protest movement by producing homespun clothes and other items, okay? Mind you, let me say this too. Mind you, there's Black people fighting with this because we have rights. We own land. We got businesses. So we're fighting against these people too. 1772, Mary Otis Warren publishes plays advocating for independence from Great Britain by mocking British colonial officials and urging colonists to resist British policies. So right now we're dealing with Great Britain coming into America, implementing their policies and taking away women's rights. 1773, Phyllis Wheatley, the first enslaved person to publish a book, writes poems on various subjects, religious and moral. It says Wheatley uses her pen to show white colonists that enslaved African Americans have souls and minds and thus deserve liberty. Let me scroll down. 1774, 51 women gathered in Eddington, North Carolina to sign a protest resolving to boycott English cloth, tea, and other goods. These events is later called Edenton Tea Party. Let me say this. Why do I feel like these are Black women doing this? The only reason I'm saying this is because these white women are not, they're not making nothing. I'm wondering if this is Black women doing this with this boycott. This sounds very Black womanish. It says the 1775, the royal governor of Virginia, Lord Dunmore, issues a proclamation stating that enslaved people who are owned by rebels and who will fight with the British will be given their freedom. Thousands of men and women flock to his position, but many die of disease. So now here it is. We got the royal governor of Virginia offering freedom if you come fight. April 19, 1775, the war begins when British forces fight Massachusetts militia at Lexington Green, Concord's North Bridge, and on roads back to Boston. So then here comes 1776. Abigail Adams writes to her husband, John Adams, urging him, remember the ladies, this is all a play, in the new code of laws. In July 2nd, 1776, the New Jersey State Constitution is adopted. It is used gender-neutral pronoun they and does not include racial categories in its election law. That same day, the Second Continental Congress votes to break all political ties with Great Britain. So now we're leading up to this. They're not differentiating what's happening between the black women or the black people and the white people. All they're saying is women, men, women, men. They're being very inclusive because they don't want you to know who's actually doing what. What I'm going to tell you guys is I believe that the women who were boycotting and doing all that stuff against Great Britain, I believe those to be black women. And those were the women that Ida B was supposed to be coming down here to help. But it turns out she ain't coming down to help a goddamn person because she's really the enemy, okay? So now we're looking at 1776, where women are getting their laws with President Adams, right through his wife, don't forget the ladies, bullshit. And now we're getting the rights to vote, right? Let me make sure I didn't miss nothing, because this is a long thing. It's so much going on. I can't get to all of it. I'm trying to scroll to the bottom. November 16. Damn, that's a lot. Hold on. Alice Paul, in 1917, Alice Paul, a New Jersey Quaker, forms the National Women's Party, a more militant suffrage organization that sought to pass national suffrage movement. Come back over here, y'all. Because remember, Ida B. Wells' whole purpose is to help black women in the South who dealing with the suffrage movement. But she comes in and turns black women's suffrage movement into the women's suffrage movement. And all the way up until 1917, or when you get to 1917, now a clear woman named Alice Paul then turned that movement into the NWP, National Women's Movement, or National Women's Party. And it's a militia or a militant suffrage organization that sought to pass a national suffrage amendment. Do you see how it started off with Ida B. Wells coming to the South to help black women with their suffrage, and how it easily ended up in the hands of white America, white Quakers? That's because that was her job. Even back in 1800, to take our plight and give it to them so that they can reap the benefits. And she is one of the founding members, in my belief, of the feminist movement. Because all of this women's suffrage came through that. Okay? Now, let's get into what she did with black women. It says Between Two Worlds, because we're going to get with what she did for black women and their voting rights. Between Two Worlds, black women in the fight for voting rights. Okay? Get the likes up if you haven't already. During the 19th and 20th century, black women played an active role in the struggling for universal suffrage. Okay, the 19th and 20th century, that's the 1800s and 1900s. They participated in political meetings and organized political societies. African American women attended political conventions at their local churches where they planned strategies to gain the right to vote. In the late 1800s, more black women worked for churches, newspapers, secondary schools, and colleges, which gave them a larger platform to promote their ideas. But in spite of their work, many people didn't listen to them. Black men and white women usually led civil rights organizations and set the agenda. They often excluded black women from their organizations and activities. For example, the National American Women's Suffrage Association prevented black women from attending their conventions. Now that's crazy. Ida B, where was your antennas, bitch, when they excluded us from the women's suffrage movement? It goes on to say, black women often had to march separately from white women in suffrage parades. In addition, when Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony wrote the history of women's suffrage in the 1880s, they featured white suffragists are suffragists while largely ignoring the contributions of African American suffragists. The black women are less well remembered. They played an important role in getting the 15th and the 19th Amendment passed. Just like I fucking said, it was black women who was doing that boycotting shit out there with the Great British. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I could feel it. It's like I see the lie and God guide me to the truth. I knew it. I said it. I said it's given that was black women doing all of that boycotting, and it was black women doing this, that, and the third. Sure as I got a nose on my face, that's exactly who it was. Man, watch out. I know us. I know us. And I know how we operate. It didn't make sense that these poor ass white women coming in with bad teeth, bad hygiene, and no goddamn language. It did not make sense that these would be the women heading anything. These bitches are slow as turtles during this time. They slow as turtles during this time. It would make sense that this whole suffrage movement came off the backs of black women because we were the ones really suffering, not these white women. Yeah, they was following us. As they don't they still do it in 2026? Boycott, they was following us. Yes, the same thing they do in 2026. That's crazy. It says, so it says black women are remember they played an important role in getting the 15th and the 19th Amendment passed. Black women found themselves pulled in two different directions. Black men wanted their support in fighting racial discrimination and prejudice, while white women wanted them to help change their inferior status of women in American society. Both groups ignored the unique challenges that African American women face. Black reformers like Mary Church Terrell, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, and Harriet Tubman understood that both their race and their sex affected their rights and opportunities. Because of their, I don't believe that too, that's a lie. But because of their unique position, black women tended to focus on human rights and universal suffrage rather than the suffrage solely for African Americans or for women. Bullshit lie. Get my man up here. So they want us to believe that black women were stuck between a rock and a hard place. And instead of helping black men or helping black women, they want us to believe we decided to just help all people. Cap, kibbity cap.
It's survival. Survival. I guess somebody lied. Smells like somebody lied.
You are not going to make me believe that black women, strong black women in this time frame who standing on their own 10 and their own 2 and with their own 10, you're not going to tell me that those black women decided to disregard all of black America altogether and just say we want fight for all women. Bullshit. You want to know what happened? You want to know what happened? They used us to push the agenda, and when they filled the paperwork out and signed the paperwork to pass whatever they passed it for everybody, unbeknownst to us. There's no way we would leave our men in the 1800s. There's no way we would leave our men to suffer to help all women. It doesn't make common sense. It doesn't make common sense that black women would forego all of black people shit to help all women. That doesn't even sound right. That don't even sound right. Especially during a time where white women didn't rock with black women. Why would we forego helping our men to help them? That doesn't sound right. We don't get along with white women to this day. Why would we get along with them enough to forego our men back then? We got played, y'all. They used Ida B. Wells to come down there and get us into that shit so we can all be all inclusive on the women suffering, and then they passed that shit for the white women. It's the same thing over and over again. Over and over again. It goes on to say, many black suffragists weighed in on the debate over the 15th Amendment, which would enfranchise black men but not black women. Mary Ann Shadd Cary spoke in support of the 15th Amendment, but was also critical of it as it did not give women the right to vote. Sojourner Truth argued that black women will continue to face discrimination and prejudice unless their voices was uplifted like those of the black men. So it's giving me Mary Ann, even though she didn't want to, she was still over there. Like, you know what? I really feel like women need the support, but at the end of the day, I don't want to go against black people. But it looks like Sojourner Truth came in and was like, oh no, black women, you can't sit up there and do stuff for black men because we women, all women, need your voice. That's what it's giving. It's giving Sojourner Truth came in at the 24th hour and said, black women, remember we still women first. It goes on to say African-American women who believe that this issue of suffrage was too large and complex for any one group of organization to tackle alone. I don't believe that. They hoped that different groups will work together to accomplish their shared goals. Black suffragists like Nannie Helen Burroughs wrote and spoke about the need for black and white women. There you go, inclusion. This is giving me a headache. Because I really wish I could go into a time machine and whoop ass on everybody I love, especially this bitch here. Ida B and this bitch, because she looked racially ambiguous. I wish I could go back. I wish I could get into a time machine and get the whooping ass on everybody I love. This is all cap. This is all lies. All of this is a lie. All of this is a lie. But let's go into it. They hope different groups will work together to accomplish their shared goals. Black suffragists like Nannie Helen Burroughs wrote and spoke about the need for black and white women to cooperate to achieve the right to vote. Black women worked with mainstream suffragists in organizations like the National African Woman Suffrage Association. However, the mainstream organizations did not address the challenges faced by black women because of their race, such as negative stereotypes, harassment, and unequal access to jobs, housing, and education. So in the late 1800s, black women formed clubs and organizations where they could focus on the issues that affected them. In Boston, and let me say this too, this is what that enemy will do. He saw a need and he filled it. So what they'll do is they'll send black women there to help build your organizations just for black women. And the black women who don't know, they're thinking, OMG, we got some black women on our side and we're going to all help to build stuff just for black women. But what the black women don't know is the black woman that they sent to you was sent to you. She's not really here for you. I know she cool. I know she bring donuts. I know the bitch did help us that last time. But what y'all don't understand, black women, is the black women that they're sending to help you is women they're sending to you, meaning they're agents. So this is how they get the illusion that black women as a collective were on board. All they need is representation. Get some black women, take their pictures and put them out and say that they represent the masses. So now you're not going to make me believe that the collective of black women forego their own shit to help all women. I don't, but as a black woman in 2026, I don't believe that black women in the 1800s forego everything that they needed to help all women. It doesn't make common sense. It doesn't make common sense, you guys. But this is what they're writing in his story. It goes on to say, during the meetings at the in Boston, black reformers like Josephine St. Pierre Ruffin and Charlotte Fortine Grimmick founded the National Association for Colored Women, or the NACW, in 1896. During their meetings at Charles Street Meeting House, members discussed ways of attaining civil rights and women's suffrage. The NACW's motto, "Lifting as we climb," reflecting the organization's goal to uplift the status of black women. It says in 1913, Ida B. Wells founded the Alpha Suffrage Club of Chicago, the nation's first black women's club focused specifically on suffrage. Now, in comes Ida B. Here come Ida B. Ida B pulls up, and she's going to open the first chapter of the Black women's suffrage. But the gag is, they don't know that she's about to hijack your movement. It says, after the 19th Amendment was ratified in 1920, Black women voted in elections and held political offices. However, many states passed the laws that discriminated against African Americans and limited their freedom. Black women continued to fight for their rights. Educators and political advisor Mary McLeod Bethune formed the National Council, another agent, formed the National Council of Negro Women in 1935 to pursue civil rights. Tens of thousands of African Americans worked over several decades to secure suffrages without or which occurred when the Voting Rights Act passed in 1965. See how they jump real fast? This act represents more than a century's work of Black women, by Black women to make voting easier and more equitable. Let's go back up here. It says, after the 19th Amendment was ratified in 1920, Black women voted, back up. Let me go up further. Josephine St. Pierre Ruffins and Charlotte 14 Grimmick, they founded the NACW, National Association for Colored Women. Y'all see how they hurry up and turned it from Black African American to colored in 1896? During their meetings at the House, it says members discuss ways of attaining civil rights for women, not Black women, not even colored women, for women's suffrage. The NACW's motto, lifting as we climb, reflecting the organization's goal to uplift the status of Black women. Listen, this is the hijack. Use Black in the title, but use that to get leverage for white people and everybody except them. They've done this over and over again. We doing that right. They doing that right now with DEI. They put us in the title, but we don't get nothing from it. They get us bucked up about DEI is for us, but we never get anything from it. All the foreigners get everything from it, and all the white people get everything from it. That's the exact same thing they did with this women's suffrage movement. They used us and put our names in the title and gave everybody the benefits except us. Ida B. Wells was a plant, ladies and gentlemen. She literally came here to Black American women who were already going through their own shit. And she decided that she was going to co-opt that situation, make it into an all-inclusive women of color thing. And then from there, we'll go and make it into women's rights. And now Black women still don't have these rights. Now it's white women. And this is the gag. In 2026, we are fooled into believing that their fight is our fight. And even in 2026, Black American women do not share the same fights as white women. As a matter of fact, we don't share the same fights or slights as Caribbean women. We don't share the same fights as African women. We don't share the same fights as Asian women. We don't share the same fights as no other group of women. None. And I'm pretty positive if we took a poll right now in 2026 and we asked Black American women, would you rather us pass a vote or a bill for Black women or for all women? I'm almost positive most of them will say Black women. Even in this all-inclusive state, if you give them anonymity and they'll never be found out and they can honestly answer, I can almost guarantee you most Black women will say, give me Black women's rights before all women's rights. Ida B. Wells was a plant. Let me show you this video. I got a documentary from him. Ida B. Wells, the plant that she was, they got us believing that she was our savior. They got us believing that we should look up to her. Her, Mary McLeod Bethune, all them hoes. Sophie B. Wright, all of these women, they got us believing, have our best interests at heart. I'm here to tell you, do not. Okay? I'm here to tell you, they do not. And if they write in history that they did have our best interests at heart, I'm here to tell you, you need to believe the opposite. Ida B. Wells was a plant. Her daddy was already well connected with the people and the crackers and the niggas as well. Ida B. Wells didn't just fall out of the sky. She was a product of a daddy who was already well deep involved in the Freedmen's Aid Society. She was a plant. She was created from the womb. A Boule baby or a Freemason baby at best. Let's get into this documentary, y'all. Get the likes up on the video.
This is African American History is American History. Welcome. I'm your host, Harlan Kearsley. This program's goal is to foster understanding, promote discussion, and expand knowledge through stories of historical events, bios of unsung heroes, as well as timely and relevant news stories which hopefully will paint a vivid picture of the effects of segregation, discrimination, and bigotry on the lives of both blacks and whites. Comparisons will be made between...
Integration is an education. Jim Crow can't something the Democrat. Immigration, integration, una grant. The sign is big. Integration is an education. See how this is how they advertise us wanting to integrate. They made it trendy, if it makes sense. They made it trendy. I'm seeing that.
Lives of both blacks and whites. Comparisons will be made between the many racially fractured periods of American history and what's going on right now. Ida B. Wells was one of the most outspoken women activists, black or white, in U.S. history. And this was at a time when being an outspoken black woman activist was virtually unheard of. A Memphis teacher who became a leader of the anti-lynching crusade at a time when, throughout the South, lynchings became the popular way for whites to resolve the anger and resentment they had for the newly freed blacks. From 1882 to 1968, 4,743 lynchings occurred in the United States. Of these people that were lynched, 3,446 were black. Now, these numbers may be even larger, since not all of the lynchings were ever recorded. Ida B. Wells was born into slavery in Holly Springs, Mississippi. Freed by the end of the Civil War, she lost both her parents and a sibling in the 1878 yellow fever epidemic when she was only 16 years old. She went back to work and kept the rest of the family intact with the help of her grandmother. She moved with some of her siblings to Memphis, Tennessee, where she found better pay as a teacher. Soon she co-owned a newspaper, the Memphis Free Speech and Headlight, of which, unfortunately, no copies are known to have survived. Through her paper, she reported the shocking truths about lynching, which was also carried nationwide in other black newspapers. Her life was threatened on a daily basis, and she wore a brace of pistols for protection. In 1892, when she was 23, a white mob lynched 3 of her friends. Wells wrote in the Memphis Free Speech and Headlight, urging blacks to leave Memphis altogether.
There is therefore only one thing left.
Why would she urge black people to leave Memphis? See, that's a play too. Because look, think about it like this. Who does it benefit for these people in the late 1800s for black Americans to leave Memphis? What's going on in the 1800s? Whites are being poured in through Ellis Island, and they need land and places to go. So she was very pretty. But listen, it would only benefit the new whites coming in to have the blacks leave their land, because that's when you leave. When people were leaving, they weren't leaving apartments. They was leaving land. So it would only benefit the white people if she say, oh, these 3 men got lynched, all black people, y'all need to leave. Everybody black, just go. What you mean, leave our shit? That's what, she was a plant. Remember, she's here to look like she's on our side, but she's really on their side, because that was horrible advice to give people who own land and businesses. Why would you tell them to leave their land because 3 people got lynched? That doesn't make common sense.
Is therefore only one thing left to do. Save our money and leave a town which will neither protect our lives and property nor give us a fair trial in the courts.
Let me back her up so you can hear her say it out of her own mouth. I'm going to let her say it out of her own mouth.
A town which will neither protect our lives. Is therefore only one thing left to do. Save our money and...
In the Memphis Free Speech and Headlight, urging blacks to leave Memphis altogether.
There is therefore only one thing left to do. Save our money and leave a town which will neither protect our lives and property nor give us a fair trial in the courts, but takes us out and murders us in cold blood when accused by white persons.
Wells began her investigative journalism by looking at the charges given for the murders, which officially started her anti-lynching campaign. Her article named the lynchers, pointed out that the motive was fear of competition from the Negroes, who were businessmen. Her office was destroyed, and she was
unable. Now y'all see why she was able to have the newspaper? Look what she writing. Now you see why the white man gave her a newspaper? She telling niggas to leave their land. I get at her a newspaper too. She's literally encouraging black people in the South, in Memphis, to leave their land. Everything you own, get up and leave, because the white man gonna kill us. I would give this bitch a newspaper too, because I need her to keep telling that to these niggas.
Able to return to the city. She continued to speak on the issue of lynching at various black women's clubs and raised more than $5,000 to investigate and publish her results. Wells found that black people were lynched for such social control reasons as failing to pay debts, not appearing to give way to whites, competing with whites economically, and being drunk in public. She found little basis for the frequent claim that black men were lynched because they had sexually abused or attacked white women. This alibi seemed to account for most of white America's collective acceptance or silence on lynching, as well as its acceptance by many in the educated African American community.
Office of Anti-Lynching Bureau, 2939 Princeton Avenue, Chicago, January 1st, 1902. To the members of the Anti-Lynching Bureau, the year of 1901 with its lynching record is a thing of the past. There were 135 human beings that met death at the hands of mobs during this year. Not only is the list larger than for 4 years past, but the barbarism of the lawlessness is on the increase. 6 human beings were burned alive between January 1st, 1901 and January 1st, 1902. More persons met death in this horrible manner the past 12 months than in the 3 years before. And in proportion as the number roasted alive increases, in the same proportion has there been an indifference manifested by the public. Time was when the country resounded with denunciation and the horror of burning a human being by so-called Christian and civilized people. The newspapers were full of it. The last time a human being was made fuel for flames, it was scarcely noticed in the papers editorially.
You know what I was thinking? What if, just out of curiosity, what if these pictures are staged? Y'all see how we be seeing all them lynching pictures and shit? What if, just conspiracy theory brain, but what if none of this shit really happened? What if all of them pictures that we keep circulating round and round about the lynching, what if all of that shit was AI? Because remember, we've always had AI. It's just that they just reintroduced it to us. But what if all of this shit was made up? Because even I'm thinking about the number of people who was lynched. Even though 3,000 people is a lot of people, it wasn't that many killing people. The way they taught us in school, like they was lynching niggas for letting breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You see what I'm saying? The way they taught us in school, I thought black people was getting lynched for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But 3,000 people between a couple of years, even though that is still a lot of people, is not nowhere near as much as I thought it was. So just saying, what if, I'm not saying that they are staged, but what if all of these pictures, them same pictures, them 12 pictures we be locating and rotating all around with the people hanging from the tree, what if all of that shit is fake? What if they didn't lynch nowhere near as many niggas as they did? What if that whole lynching story is a Jedi mind trick to make you scared? I don't know. I just be thinking out loud. Let's get back into it.
Was scarcely noticed in the papers editorially. And the chairman of your bureau finds it harder every year to get such matter printed. In other words, the need for agitation and publication of facts is greater than ever, while the avenues through which to make such publications have decreased. Nowhere does this apathetic condition prevail to a greater extent than within the membership of the Anti-Lynching Bureau. When the Bureau was first organized 3 years ago, it was thought that every man, woman, and child who had a drop of Negro blood in his veins, and every person else who wanted to see a mob law put down, would gladly contribute 25 cents per year to this end. There were upwards of 300 responses to the first appeal, and less than 50% renewed it at the end of that year. The third year of the Bureau's existence is half over, and although the chairman has determined to issue a periodical, there are absolutely no funds in the Treasury to pay postage, much less the printer. Nevertheless, my faith in the justice of our cause and the absolute need of this agitation leads me to again address those who have shown 25 cents worth of interest in the matter heretofore. I send with this circular a pamphlet which friends have helped to pay for. It was thought best to begin with what, to us, was the beginning of history for our race in the United States and the Reconstruction period. It was thought best to throw some light on those times and give some unwritten history. This history is written by one who can say with Julius Caesar of the history he wrote, all of which I saw and part of which I was. We can only change public sentiment and enforce laws by educating the people, giving them the facts. This you can do by first, renewing your membership in the Anti-Lynching Bureau and securing others. Second, by paying for the copy sent you and purchasing others to distribute. Third, by paying for the copy of the Reconstruction Review to your...
Damn, bitch, you want a lot of money from the people. All of that. Oh, if you want to help save the people, all you got to do is pay me, pay her, and pay her. And you can help the people. How many people, girl, what all they got to pay for? Damn. So now it costs you, number one, you got to keep her subscriptions up. My girl said, bitch, it's kind of like selling memberships. My girl Ida said, bitch, I ain't out here for free. Run that membership. You see what I'm saying? But either way, she's selling this stuff to the people. She's giving them alternatives and then selling it to them. Hey, I have an idea. Why don't we do X, Y, and Z? Oh, I think that's a good idea. Cool. Give me $20. Like, what? What are we doing here? I thought you was here to help us, bitch. And I get it, you got to live. I get it, you got buku churn. And I get it, you got siblings and things of that nature. But damn, you trying to break the bank. They got to pay for all of that to help? That is insanitary.
And part of which I was. We can only change public sentiment and enforce laws by educating the people, giving them the facts. This you can do by first, renewing your membership in the Anti-Lynching Bureau and securing others. Second, by paying for the copy sent you and purchasing others to distribute. Third,
money. That's two. First, money. Second, money.
By paying for the copy of the Reconstruction Review to your congressman, together with a letter urging the cutting down of the representation in Congress of the states which have nullified the Constitution. It rests with you to say whether the Anti-Lynching Bureau shall be strengthened to do its work for the future. Ida B. Wells Barnett, Chairman.
This said that lady was an OG influencer. Diva, you right. It's giving pyramid scheme. That's what it's giving to me. So you done got us all riled up. We ready to go fight. And look at her. Okay, all you got to do is pay here, and pay here. What? Bitch, I'm trying to go fight. I ain't got no money. The fuck? Bitch, the only currency I got is these hands. Bitch, what? I'm ready to go fight and you telling me I got to pay a fee? Girl, I ain't got no money. Get out of my way, Ida, before I pop you. See, they should have had me at the meeting. Because, see, soon as the bitch would have said at the end of the meeting, oh, we could do X, Y, and Z, just pay here, and here, I'd have said, look here, bitch, if you don't get up out my way, I'm going to pop you on my way out the door to pop these crackers. Please. We don't, girl, what? It costs money to fuck with Ida, baby.
African American history is American history. In 1895, Wells married attorney Ferdinand L. Barnett, a widower with two sons, Ferdinand and Albert. She was one of the first
She married a man with a good job.
Married American women to keep her own last name as well as taking her husband's. The couple had 4 more children, Charles, Herman, Ida, and Alfreda. Many, both white and black, saw Ida B. Wells as too radical, mostly due to the fact that she was a woman. An early
Them churn look bad AF. And let me say this. See this one here? This one, watch her and watch that one there. All 4 of her churn was bad. I got to say that part. I don't even know these churn. I wasn't even there. But all 4 of your churn was bad. Look at her. She ain't even got the rest of her hair finished. All your churn was bad. Every single one. Watch all her churn. Please. They cute though. Very cute. They just bad. I can look at it. This one may not, the oldest one may not be so bad. But see this last 3? Baby, watch them.
Mostly due to the fact that she was a woman. An early supporter of women's suffrage, Wells created quite a stir in 1913 when she refused to march in the back with the other black delegates during a demonstration by the National American Women's Suffrage Organization. However, in 1895, the 19th century's acknowledged leader for African American civil rights, Frederick Douglass, praised her work in a letter just prior to his death.
Of course, he another plant. Back up really quickly. Frederick Douglass is a plant. Everybody know that. Listen, Ida B. Wells at this women's suffrage march, you got black women who are marching but are told they have to march in the back. They can't even march side by side with these clears. And you still want me to believe that those very black women forewent helping their race to help all women? This is what you want me to believe. So at this race, they're doing the women's march race because women are suffering. White women in front, black women in the back. When the black women want to march up front with the white women tell them, hell no. And you want me to believe those same black women forewent and foregone, making sure that their race is taken care of to help all women? This is a lie, y'all. Yes, they did have representation of black women to say that that happened. But you're not going to make me believe that the whole of black women just said, screw our men. We want to be on the side of these white women who don't like us no way. That doesn't make common sense, ladies and gentlemen. Even if we were slow, and I don't think we were, even if we were indoctrinated, and I don't think we were, you're not going to make me believe that these same white women who hated us, we said, screw our men, we're going to be on their side. That don't make sense.
1895, the 19th century's acknowledged leader for African American civil rights, Frederick Douglass, praised her work in a letter just prior to his death.
Dear Miss Wells, let me give you thanks for your faithful...
That's his co-worker. Ida B, Frederick Douglass, all them niggas, they all co-workers. They all got the same boss. This is all contrived. Remember I told y'all at the beginning of the video, I said what they'll do is put in opposition to make you believe that she's really fighting these battles where they're going to add friends too. He's another paid operative. Frederick Douglass was not the friend of Black America. He was a spy, in my opinion. But we're going to get on him another day. We've already spoken about him. We'll elaborate on him, the spy, another day. But the fact that he's writing her does not make me feel better because he's worse than her. He's worse than her. If you know, you know.
Paper for the lynch abomination now generally practiced against colored people in the South. There has been no word equal to it in convincing power. I have spoken, but my word is feeble in comparison. Brave woman. Frederick Douglass, 1895.
Ida B. Wells continued her crusading activities for another 22 years, working until her death in 1931. In 2018, the New York Times published a belated obituary, and there is currently a push to have a street in Brooklyn, New York, where she had lived for a time, named after her. Said Brooklyn City Councilman Stephen Levin, "It's important to look at our history and look at our leaders of the past who really demonstrated courage and bravery."
Somebody said she looked like me. Y'all think we resemble? She might. I can see it. Let me look to the side. I can see it. Let me look off to the side, like I'm stealing. Y'all can see it? Let me look off to the side after I done stole y'all money. Y'all can see, I see it. I think we kind of do look a little bit. I can see it. She look like she could be in my relation. She look like she could be in my auntie or something like that. I can see it. But I don't like the bitch. Anyways, that was the end of the video. Shout out to this person. Who is this brother who did this video? African American History is American History. That's the channel where I got the video from. Make sure y'all go over there and show love if y'all would like to. It's an older video. I'm noticing that, typically people who like to make us all one big Negro, they love this type of shit. African American this, African American this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, girl. It was a good thing, but listen, the reason I'm bringing up Ida B. Wells is, number one, somebody sent it to me. It was like, "Voo, you got to check this out." And I said, "Oh, girl, we need to do that." So then I did, and I went and researched her, and I didn't do extensive research, but just the small research I found, I realized that Ida B. Wells, although she's presented to us as a ally, she was not. Because the Black women came into the suffrage movement looking for relief. And we got into the suffrage movement and still don't have set relief. The only people who have the relief in that movement are the white women. And they got so much relief, they got so much relief that they got bored and created the feminist movement. And we windmilling on that right now to this day. Ida B. Wells, Sophie B. Wright, all of these people that we are told are our allies are not our allies, Black America. If America tells you they're your friend, they're your op. If America tells you they're your op, they're your friend. That's literally how it goes. But remember, whenever they give you small details, oh, we ain't gonna go too far in the detail about this, we ain't gonna go too far in the detail about that, please know that the reason why they're only giving you certain details is because they don't want you to know the full-on truth. And the fact of the matter is they gave us very few details about Miss Ida B. Wells. But it was up to us to use our context clues and our thinking caps for us to realize that her daddy was a Boule man or a Freemason man. So now we understand why Ida B. Wells was put in the rooms that she was put in. Now we understand why Ida B. Wells got in the situation she was in. She had an in through her daddy. Her daddy wasn't no humble po-ass nigga. I know they lied and told y'all he was a slave, but he must have been one of the good ones because that nigga had reach. Her daddy. Okay? I fucks with Vu. Thank you so much for the super chat and also for making it rain. Thank you. I make it rain. I make it rain. I make it rain on them hoes. I make it rain. I make it rain on them hoes. Thank you so much for the super chat. I fucks with Vu. He says, happy Educational Friday. I'm in the back with my notebook. This is the good-ish. Thank you so much, handsome. I appreciate you for the super chat and for always making it rain. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And again, thank you for the super chat. Says Salem witch trials, they were still drowning them clear women for trying to even speak on equality. So they tethered themselves to Black women. There it goes. I forgot about that. Them clear women was trying to holler about that equality shit, and them white men was killing them hoes. I get it. And then they started that makes sense. So then it would make sense for them to tether themselves on the Black women's suffrage struggle because we were already struggling. It's about tethering. Shout out to Tariq Nasheed. You see, when he created that term tether, I don't know if he created the term, but the way in which we use it, the term tether, when he created that term tether for them foreigners and spoke about how they tether onto us, that was groundbreaking because that is extremely true. And they didn't just start doing it like I fucks with Boo said. They've been doing it. Remember, these are the foreigners and they need you and your energy to help them to have their reality. Their nightmare, their dream hinges upon your nightmare. That means you have to be in a perpetual state of turmoil in order for them to live good. That's the whole point. And the only reason they can get anything done is if they hijack your struggle for their benefit. Okay? Please never forget that. Please, please, please. Never forget, Black America. When they say that the American dream hinges upon your struggle, that means you have to struggle for them to live good. That's literally all that means. With that being said, I'm going to hop up off of here, though. I love y'all. Happy Educational Friday. Any new information, please pass it along. Like the video if you haven't already. And please, 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 Black America, make sure y'all pay the information forward and do your research. I love y'all, and I'll catch y'all later on. Peace. Be safe, y'all.
Can you hear me now? Oh, let's go! It's your boy Big Chew, the voice of the beat. You know what I want? Blaze up! Come on, Blaze up!
It's the beat for me.
Wow, 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 for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Drop it for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Do it for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Come on, baby, we live. For your boy, for your boy. Also for your boy. Fix it for your boy. Drop it for your, lift it up. You talk more shit than a little bit. Back to Mother Africa. That's bullshit. Without question, we are all Black Americans. You do not know a goddamn thing about Africa. I am from Detroit, Motown. So you can watch Tootsie your monkey ass back to Africa if you want to.
Mr. Carroll, how you give the voodoo doll time to talk? I don't get no fucking time to talk.
Who the voodoo doll is?
The nigga you just had up here.